really care what anyone says, creating content has always been hard.
Content.
And I think I found a couple ways in my long time creating, which has been like 8 years, to make it a lot easier on myself and to others by teaching them the same things. So what I'm gonna do my absolute best to teach you is a sound design format that not only helps you with how to make better videos, whether they're high quality or not, but also help you on the content strategy side understand what makes people emotionally attached to videos. So without further ado, I'm gonna actually edit a video live for you and walk through this step by step. But before we even get into sound design, I want you to remember one thing, and this is probably the most important thing you'll see all day. Sentence 1, 2, and 3 are the most important parts of your video no matter what. Everything that comes after this, quite literally, could be anything because you've already locked people in here. Now here's where your sound design and really what I'm trying to talk about becomes a really big part of your process. For sentence number 1, you're gonna start with a riser. This is gonna start and it's gonna sound like this. And then you're gonna hear everything cut out. Now you have a couple options. At the end of your sentence, you can throw a whoosh transition. This creates emphasis points. So if you even look at how this is structured, it's gonna look like this. And I'll show you this on a timeline, but this format is so cool because on sentence number 2, you drop out all audio. The lack of sound design actually means that there is a massive emphasis point on whatever it is you're saying. So for example, if I said the #1 way to grow on social media is it's actually something you never expect. Now you're locked in. You're like, wait a minute, there's no audio. He wanted me to hear that better. That's important. And now at the end of that silence here, you just pull that whoosh that you had in sentence number 1 and bring it back right here at the end of sentence 2, which then easily transitions you into sentence number 3. I will show you this, but this format is all you need to do because really right here in sentence 3, you can add in your background. Just pretend that says background music. Now, anytime you want to make a point or you want to make a different part of your story or you want to tell a different narrative, you can use this format to then do that seamlessly. So now that you have more of an idea behind the strategy of how to make a video, now we look at the post-production side, which is equally, if not way more important. So we're going to look at one of my own scripts that was for the short form video of this long form video for Motion Array. And I'm going to show you step by step this in real time on my timeline. So let's do it. All right, friends, welcome inside my laptop. So we are inside my timeline specifically, and what I'm gonna do and what you see here is sentence number 1, sentence number 2, and sentence number 3, and sentence number 4. We're going to sound design these together, and you're gonna see how this script right here gets brought to life and how you can actually start to build out a pre-production format and a post-production format that is elite, and again, makes you start creating really emotionally sticky content. So let's dive in. First things first, you need to hear what this sounds like without any transitions or audio. So listen now, this is what it sounds like. It's kind of fucking boring. 85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with a proven format I've never seen anybody talk about before. Kind of boring, right? We want to bring that to life. So I'm going to hop over here into my sound design folder, which by the way, I have made a list of assets that are in my collections. And so if we go over here, this is Dimitri's picks. It's 5 assets. And I can actually just share this with you. But if you are going to use the exact same assets, these are what they are. The 5th Season by Nono, Silverwind, TikTok, and this is my classical music. And I love using classical music, by the way, for my middle of my body and stuff like that. So you'll hear that when I actually get into the editing. And then for my sound effects, all I really need is a short digital riser and a pack of fast swoosh transitions. So that is really all I've got here, and you'll see that also reflected here. So let's just do new bin, and then let's just do SD for sound design, right? And then I'm gonna drag all this over and in, beautiful. So what I always like to start with is a riser. So we're gonna start with a riser and we're gonna find one that sounds sick. So that sounds kind of interesting. That sounds also kind of interesting. That one sounds interesting. So let's use that one. So really what I'm gonna do is pull this in, and I'm actually gonna hit R on my keyboard and we're gonna rate stretch it, which basically just makes it longer. And then I'm gonna take that volume level and I'm gonna turn it down. So then I'm gonna move this over to right where that transition actually hits here. And I need to add some audio there. Content without any audio. So when you're making... So that's a little loud. Let's bring that down.
without any audio. So when you're making
Nice. So that brings that part to life, and that's like a transition there. What I also would do here, believe it or not, and this is where the nuance of a lot of this comes from. If this clip is a little too long to just have, because again, this riser doesn't go all the way to the beginning, I'm gonna go over to my TikTok sound, and I'm gonna start with music as well. So let's find that you'll hear this audio, you're gonna be like, I see why he uses this. Dun, 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 dun. Right there. So let's pull that in, and I'm gonna riser that in as well. And so when I put this format together of sentence one being a riser and whoosh out, you can now hear it. So watch this back. So I'm gonna actually just expand this just so you can hear it. And again, I need to go here and let's just bring this level down. I'm gonna make a bunch of keyframes real quick and you'll see them pop up on this. And yeah, just let me knock that out real quick. This just gives me the flexibility to riser in my audio because I don't want it to come in that hot. It's a little hot. And I'm gonna have it come into full volume like right here because I do want my words to be heard first. So now let's listen back and see what this sounds like.
85% of people consume content without any audio. So
fire. I think that's great. So then the only thing we need to do is make sure that that riser is what cuts the audio. So actually, I'm gonna probably make another keyframe here and then bring this down to 0. So I love the way this sounds. This is coming together nicely. So listen to this back.
85% of people
we might actually just want to bring this up, believe it or not, because it is a little quiet. So let's go here.
85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making
amazing. So when you're making blah, blah. So cool. That sounds pretty good to me. I think the only other thing, that riser is great. Let's bring the volume up a little bit. But again, like I like to say, we probably need a whoosh transition out of that to create some more emphasis. So let's hear this. Okay, that's really sick. So instead of that riser, this is pretty much a riser and a whoosh transition all in one. So we're just gonna use that instead. I really like that. And again, R on your keyboard, let's rate stretch that a little bit over to your left. And then boom.
Without any audio. So when you're making
that sounds great. So let's pull that down a little bit so we don't lose my words.
Without any audio. So when you're making video.
Nice. Cool. And then what I'm gonna do here is now that that's transitioned nicely out of this.
Any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on?
So here, there's a couple things you could do. You could do no audio.
Audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people.
Or we could bring this out and actually bring the audio back in. So let's make that emphasis point of, so what are you doing? So what I like about this is I'm asking a question, which also prompts somebody to be reeled into the video. It's not just another line of script, it's a full-blown question. So let's actually bring that audio back in, and then let's see what it sounds like as we start to have that come back in for us.
Any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure.
We gotta go this way.
So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with a proven format I've never seen anybody talk about before.
Sweet, that kind of works. So let's pull that down a little bit and let's listen to this back. So now
85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with.
Nice. So I'm brought back into this, and I'm actually gonna have a clip of myself back here dancing, which would be kind of funny. But now what I also want to do is throw a transition out of here because
sound on. So
because here's something that's really, really important. In your pre-production process, notice how this next clip
with their sound on. So
has motion, how I lean back into it. That's a perfect place to throw another whoosh. So let's find one. That sounds fire. A little bit too high pitch. A little bit too high pitch. That one's fire. Okay, I like this one right here. Let's pull that in, and let's just turn that volume down. And then let's actually slow that down just so the treble gets pulled out of it a little bit. And then let's go down to like 12 or 13. So now
people are scrolling with their sound on. So I've partnered with Motion Array.
That's fire. That's sick.
85% of.
So riser in, and then whoosh transition out of first clip, which is sentence number 1.
85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with.
Nice. And then here, I probably just want to throw another small whoosh, something small like this, just because again, there's movement. anytime there's movement, you want to match that. That's a perfect place for a sound design piece. So let's actually turn this down to like 13 maybe. Just get that a little bit lower.
With a proven.
Nice, I like that. It's very minimalistic, and again, you won't be like overwhelmed by it.
Yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with a proven format I've never seen anybody talk about before.
And again, I move out of this. So that right there is also another transition. That's another whoosh. So I'm always going to try to match movement and things happening inside of my actual video. I think that sounds a little slow. So what I might do is let's actually create another ad track here. Let's just create one more track below. And then I'm actually just going to pull this down here. And then let's go back to my classical music. Let's find one that's something a little bit faster pace. That's a little loud and that's a little crazy. I like that. Cool, there's my cut. Let's pull that in here, and here's how this is gonna sound. So instead of dropping the audio completely out, we're gonna fade that in. We're gonna turn this down, and we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna get a low pass filter.
Any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with...
Ooh, that sounds sick. So instead of no audio, we're actually gonna add just a little bit of something there, and then I'm gonna still fade that in. So let's go over here to level and add just a couple keyframes. And I'm just gonna fade that in because I still want that dramatic effect. I think that actually does exist pretty well. So let's pull this down and let's listen to that back full volume and let's see what we got. All right.
85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually...
Cool, okay, so that needs to not start there. That needs to start over here.
Any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again.
Close. But this is the game. You're watching this in real time. It is not an instant, oh my God, I love that process. I think that's perfect. And you can repeat it each time. There's slight tweaks and slight changes need to be made every single time. So what I might do, instead of going no audio for this clip right here,
So when you're making videos,
because it kind of ruins it, low key, I'm gonna bring this over so I make sure there is audio.
any audio. So when you're making videos, what...
That sounds great. So now instead of this riser ending right at the end of that clip, I'm actually gonna move it forward. So watch what happens here to create this emphasis. This is sick. So
Content without any audio.
that's the money move. So that's how we do it. So again, this concept that it's no sound on sentence 2, well, you could also do no sound at the end of sentence 1 to create that effect. Because again, this statistic is kind of interesting. 85% of people consume content. What's the bulk right there? What's the most meaty part of that? It's without audio. So if that has no audio also attached, it's kind of like a double, I don't know. I'm actually just realizing this in real time, but it's kind of like oh, well, that makes sense. He cut the audio when he said no audio. It's kind of cool. So now let's play this back and see how this actually hits in real time. And I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, okay, I see it.
People consume content without...
There we go. So it needs to start, that riser needs to end at without.
Consume content without any audio.
That's it right there. So let's bring that back in. And it's okay if it has a hard cut. So now let me just expand this just so you can see my audio a little bit better. And that's it. There's our beginning sound design. This is gonna be sweet. So watch how this sounds now as opposed to what it did sound like. And let me just pull this down just a hair. And here we go. I'm gonna sit back and be proud of my product.
85% of people consume content without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on? So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with a proven format I've never seen anybody talk about before.
Bang. That is your secret. It's risers, it's whooshes, and it is the lack of sound design. Those three together with a little bit of nice pacing classical music. I guess it's classical music, but it's like these cinematic masterpieces they put together, which Again, ain't no other platform like Motion Array got stuff like that. And they're so easy to find. And again, if you check the link in the description, I've also linked my picks for you. I'm actually gonna add more to that so you just have more to choose from. You don't have to go searching for them, because if I like them, trust me, they're pretty good. So I'm just low-key gonna watch this again because that was friggin' sick.
Without any audio. So when you're making videos, what are you actually doing to make sure that those people are scrolling with their sound on?
That's another perfect place, with their sound on. So I'm gonna cut the audio at the end of that sentence.
People are scrolling with their sound on.
Fire.
People are scrolling with their sound on. So I've partnered with Motion Array yet again to teach you how to weaponize sound design with a proven format I've never seen anybody talk about.
And that's it. That's it. That's money. Again, it's not always just black and white. There is a little bit of, okay, I got to tweak a little bit, but that format does exist for you, 100%. I'll say it again. Riser into dropout sound, into those key points that you want to make, and you repeat this process. So again, if I wanted to change the music, all I would do is throw a riser at the end of the clip or a whoosh transition, and then either cut the, again, end piece of that sound off, and then throw a new song in there, and then just repeat. Final thoughts are this, and this is where you can get your pen and paper, because the sound design is not always perfect. You do have to plug and play, but that format is something I've used a billion times, and by a billion I mean like 5 times, and all those videos did exceptionally well, which I have also linked in the description of this video for you to check out yourself. And what I want you to do is take notes of where that sound falls out, where the risers come in, and where those whooshes happen, because it all bleeds together, and you'll start to notice the patterns that I just showed you. So take that, good luck, get better at making content. I know you can do it, because if I can do it, shit, you can do it.